vale nada la vida no vale nada. Comienza siempre llorando y así llorando se acaba. Por eso es que en este mundo la vida no vale nada. Bonito León, Guanajuato, su feria con su jugada. Allí se apuesta en la vida y se respeta al que gana. Por eso es que en esta vida la vida no vale nada.
Time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shot.
All right. It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, Califas for a very special edition of the Shoe Shine Boxing Monday night. With me as always, all the way from the city of brotherly love, it's my co-host, Mr. Philly Irish, Drew Evo. Que pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
Man, I'm feeling the energy because we took a week off and so much happened. Like, I really wanted to talk about Shakur Stevenson, but to me, that's old news. And there's so much that happened over this weekend. And of course, not only is it Canelo Fight Week, but for Mexicans and Mexican Americans, it's a very special day. It's Dia de Los Muertos, where we pay homage to our loved ones who have passed on to the other side. And I want to send a shout out to all my people out there who may have someone on their mind, of someone that may be on the other side. I'm thinking of my grandma. My wife's thinking of her grandmother, who we lost last year. And that song I did there is dedicated to my grandma, who is from the state of Guanajuato, Caminos de Guanajuato. So a shout out to grandma, who I hope is watching up in heaven, as well as grandpa. So yeah, with that being said, Drew, I want to make myself the first on the Shoe Shine. Listen, I went down to Pismo Beach a few weeks ago, and I was blown away with this craft cocktail. I love the old fashioned, right? The old fashioned's a gentleman's drink, but they told me they made one with tequila, añejo, aged tequila, and I was so enamored by the drink that I figured out the recipe, and I'm gonna make that drink right now. Drew, there's a lot to talk about, man. We could talk about Philadelphia's Jerome Ennis. People are saying he's a hype job on Twitter. Are they smoking crack? Chon Zepeda knocks out Josue Vargas, or I can't even get their names right, but 2 first-round knockouts, and of course, cancel culture, man. So while I make this drink, go ahead and give me a Drew rant for a moment.
Well, I don't understand really, like, this cancel culture bullshit. Like, they go with Dave Chappelle's Netflix special. Like, I don't understand that shit, because here's the thing. You guys like the little girls doing some bullshit, acting like they're dancing like adults and strippers on a show, but you guys come at Dave Chappelle for what he says on his special. and you want to cancel that. But now you want to go to Romero, and you just want to, because you take a girl's word for it that she goes on Twitter, by the way, and says what this guy supposedly did to her. He's being accused, guys. It hasn't been proven that he done it and everything. But we all know that and I don't mean, and don't, please do not take this the wrong way, because a lot of people take anything the wrong way nowadays. The simplest shit they take the wrong way. That when somebody cries wolf, they all agree, they all believe them right away, without doing the research, without doing the due diligence, as it should be. Like, she claims Roy Romero grabbed her by the hair and tried to force his you-know-what in her mouth. Now, we all know Roy Romero has an OnlyFans, and he fucks unprotectedly strippers, supposedly. And he supposedly told everybody, I guess he had his speech on his hand, on the palm of his hand, I'm going to knock Tank Davis out in round 1. And everything. At the end of the day, if this shit's not true, these females need to get fucking sued. It's because you just cost this motherfucker a big ass payday. Probably the best payday he's ever going to get as a pro, because he was going to get knocked out. Probably by Tank, because the dude is the most undisciplined fighter I ever seen in my life. And we haven't seen him take a big shot. He's probably was going to take when he get knocked the fuck out in one shot. But now, this guy's likely career's over now. And more women are going to come forward and say, oh, he did it. But at the end of the day, hey, Bill Cosby eventually got the fuck off on it. Because it was proven that he probably didn't do all that shit. But fucking, come on, man. Like, seriously, he shouldn't be. You should have taken the fight away from him, because it wasn't proven that he did it. I understand he's like has all this bullshit that he's accused of it, but was he proven to have done it? No. There was no proof that he's done it. They just went around people. She came out. Why did it come out? Because, hey, I think I'll get looked up to do a series. Oh, I think I'll get some money out of this shit. I could sue and make some money out of this shit. At the end of the day, we all know at the end of the day, there's a lot of broke. I can't say it, because tell you the truth, I'm acting like I'm actually having a private conversation with a couple of my boys right now.
Well, we are. We're having a conversation with our audience, our good audience.
The thing is, the way I would normally take it, say it's a bunch of broke bitches that are looking for easy payday because they don't want to get a fucking job and everything. And then, they're going to take it, oh, Drew doesn't care about it and everything. Hey, I don't like that a guy would do that. Don't get me wrong. But every time, nobody should cry. If you're going to cry wolf, yeah, go do it. But damn, you're going to need some hella proof. And until you do, this guy, nothing should have been done with this. I think Showtime moved along too fast with this. And you just cost this dude a payday. And it just turns out not to be true. Somebody's getting sued, and I hope it's these stupid ass bitches if they turn out their line. And I don't call. I don't call them bitches when they deserve it.
I don't think you should be even using that word. But listen, Drew, here's my official stance for the shoe shine. Listen, sexual assault is a very, very serious matter, and I'm not making light of the situation. But last Thursday on G Funky's Roundtable, I happen to be in high support of Rolly Romero because he makes me laugh. Yeah, I follow his Twitter account. I think he's kind of a clown. He's rudimentary in his boxing skills, but he's very entertaining. I thought that press conference was one of the worst and funniest things I had ever seen. And I was looking forward to Tank knocking him out, you know? And then all this comes out, I think Friday, the day after I was like giving Rolly Romero high praise for being a goofy dude, a funny guy, entertaining, making the best out of this opportunity. I even gave him high praise because all the other lightweights don't want to fight the top dogs. I don't hear Haney calling out Gervonta up until today. Maybe I saw something about it, but now we're going to get Isaac Cruz. But listen, there's been a lot of guys in the world of sports and fighters for a very long time, as long as I can remember, who've been accused of the same type of behavior. Some of it is criminal. Mike Tyson did some prison time for something like this. He eventually rebounded, but at the moment, they're just allegations. So what's frustrating me, and Drew, you made a great point about the world of comedy. You talking about Dave Chappelle, who stood his ground and said, what I'm saying shouldn't be censored and Netflix should give me an opportunity, and Netflix stuck by his side. But there's been other comics like Louis C.K. who, while being one of the best comics in the business, was actually quite the pervert and did stuff that Rolly Romero is accused of himself, like masturbating in front of female comics in a green room without their consent, without them wanting to see anything like that. And yet he's still around. He didn't face any criminal charges. I'm not sure what's going to come out of that. I'm not sure what a criminal investigation on Rolly Romero is going to pan out to be if the woman herself said on social media there wasn't actually a rape. Of course, from her side of the story, he doesn't seem to take no for an answer. And that's not something I condone necessarily, but I really don't know what is going to amount as far as criminal charges. Drew, what I'm upset about is Showtime tries to make themselves the moral police, right? Paulie Malignaggi was one of the best commentators they had. We could argue he was arguably one of the best commentators in recent memory they had. And yet he was let go because of what they said was perceived as racist language in a podcast.
Here's the thing. Number one, a lot of people didn't like Paulie Malignaggi because they tend to favor European fighters more than American fighters.
But they let him go over some comments that he did it privately in a podcast.
I think it's a little bullshit and everything. But like something else too, if you look at it like this, it's just they're trying to get people for loads of bullshit all the time. Like seriously, there's some worse shit that goes on, and they let that shit go.
Like
and
this.
Everything.
I got a video of some shit that they let go right here, Drew.
And sometimes, if I was kids, and it's really fucked up about it, if I was little ass kids and they fucking let shit go about it and say, they're dancing, they're dancing. No, how the fuck they're dancing? They're dancing like fucking. You guys are letting them dance like fucking adults?
Listen, Drew. Gervonta Davis physically grabbed his baby mama at a fight in Miami. Here's the video. Clear as night and day. He grabs his baby mama by the throat. And yet, he's the pay-per-view star over there. He's the pay-per-view. He's the pay-per-view star. Not only that, but he's involved in a current some kind of current case over a hit and run. And another thing is they just signed Jake Paul, right before his last fight, a woman came forward with some very serious allegations of sexual assault, and Showtime signs him. No problem. So, I mean, it ain't... I try to wrap my mind around what's going on at Showtime because it's not white privilege because they let go of Paulie. Jake Paul gets a pass. He's a new star. They want to make money off of him, but Gervonta Davis most definitely is not white. So it just smells of hypocrisy. It's bothering me, right? Like if you're being alleged or accused of something, should you let it ride out? I mean, you made a decision. Should you let it ride out? Let them fight? Kovalev, someone mentioned in our chat, Kovalev did something too. He had to pay damages in that case. He's a married man. He did it. He ended up still fighting Canelo. I mean, it's not like he's not fighting. Yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy. A lot. Listen, I want to remind everybody my phone lines are open. It's a live show. Let me know if there's no volume for Drew. Can you guys hear Drew now? Drew, do you have your mic on? Am I just talking to myself? Shit, I don't want to restart the show.
Say, can you hear me now, Dave?
I don't know. I'm tripping. They're saying, can you guys just let me know if you can hear yet, Drew, at all? No, they say. Damn, what's going on with my audio? I don't have that muted. Drew, can you talk?
Yeah, I can talk.
All right, can you guys hear Drew now?
Boopy, 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 boopy,
I'm getting a thumbs up. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I wanted to play this. I wanted to play Raleigh Romero's press conference, but I'm afraid that it might screw up the show.
I'm gonna say something.
Go ahead.
Say something real quick. That was a funny press conference. You got Tank Davis look like Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, and you got fucking Roy Romero look like a fucking showboat from fucking that Bruce Leroy movie.
Well, here, let me just try this out, Drew. You're gonna be muted for just a quick second, but because this was epic stuff.
Man, I just want to say I'm excited to be here on Showtime. You know what I mean? I might be honestly the youngest. Well, I mean, as far as like record-wise, like as far as like all the YouTubers and stuff, with the exception of them, I might be the pay-per-view fighter with the least amount of fights. You know?
He's a word wizard.
I mean, you guys gonna see the semifinal. I'm gonna knock this dwarf the fuck out. That's how it is. You hear that? I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. Flatline.
Flatline.
It is.
Then he got jokes.
You literally, man, you a stupid fucking dwarf, man. I'm telling you, man, I can't even mess with your fucking head.
Wow.
I can't even mess with your fucking head. It's so fucking big, like this fucking big. And your fucking little T-Rex arms, man, my dick's longer than your fucking arms.
Oh, man. All right, please let me know if Drew disappears, because I don't know what's going on with my audio. But Drew, with jokes like that, my dick is bigger than your T-Rex arms. I was looking forward to the next press conference. I really was, man. I really was. You're shaking your head no?
I want to see these fucking narratives now. I just want to hear these fucking narratives from these other channels going on. I just want to hear them. I just want to laugh because I know it's going to be funny as shit. Like, with all the shit that I see with narratives about Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, I saw a woman saying that he had negative energy around him. Deontay, the rapper, wasn't that good. It was negative energy around him. I just want to see. But now let me just say something. Roy Romero should sue Showtime because you let Tank Davis fight still with the shit that he's done, and he has a pending hit and run on him. You got Jake Paul, which you signed to a 3-fight deal, which he has something going on too, and he's got a big fight with Tommy Fury coming up. So, nah, Showtime really fucked up. Showtime, go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah.
You're not even giving my boy Boots Ennis. You're not even helping him, my boy Boots Ennis, get a fucking real fight, man.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's time to move on to the next thing, man. Boots Ennis, he put on a show this weekend, as did Chon Zepeda on the Top Rank card, man. But listen, there's a lot of chatter going on about Jerome Boots Ennis, Philadelphia's toughest 147-pounder. Shout out to Sontel Media who just joined us. Thank you for hopping in the room. Drew, I'm seeing people after this fantastic knockout performance talking shit that Jerome Ennis is a hype job. And I'm very confused. I mean, he's taking on whoever they let him fight. Dulorme was once a very hot prospect at 147 pounds. Yes, he's lost a lot of fights, but Lipinets was a former champion at 140 pounds. You know, he's fighting whoever you put in front of him, a former contender or a former champion. And now they're saying he's nowhere on the level of Bud Crawford or Errol Spence. And I'm actually seeing this from the African-American community. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Boots Ennis is a hype job. That's blowing my mind.
You want to know why they say that? Because he won't sign Al Heyman.
Is that it?
They say it. That's why they say it, because he won't sign Al Heyman. They don't say it in Philly. They don't say to Philly that he's a hype job because they believe, like I believe, that there is no man at 147 and 154 that beats Boots Ennis. I will back it up. There's nobody in those two weight classes that beat Boots Ennis.
Damn. Now 147, that you could make a strong argument that he is looking really good as one of the top. He's not a prospect. He's a contender. He's someone that should be challenging for a world title soon. But with all the drama at PBC, and Errol Spence coming off of this serious eye injury, Ugas with his drama with the WBA, and now the WBA wants to make some kind of tournament for his belt. I mean, the prospect of him getting an actual title shot at 147, they look slim to me, which is why I was hearing chatter from his own people that he might be thinking about moving up to 154 just so he can line himself up for a faster title shot. By the way, it really was a sensational knockout, even better than his performance against Lipinets. Let me just play a quick highlight reel of that, man, because to me, it was a sensational knockout. And Dulorme is no slouch, man.
That comment, Chicano, Boots is in Philly, right? He's from Philly, right?
I think everybody knows Boots is from Philly.
And that statement of yours, I'm going to forget you wrote that because that don't make sense at all, what you just typed in. You just wasted a minute of your freaking life typing that up, by the way. We can move on.
Well, I hope Chicano calls in because it is Canelo Plant Week, and I would love for him to chime in on Canelo Plant Week. Chicano Prophet, thank you. Shout out to everyone at Lstly, who is on tomorrow during the morning at 11 a.m. Call me and let me know if I stand to be corrected. But listen, man, Boots Ennis seems like he's someone everybody wants to avoid. I know he doesn't have a promoter that's popular, but he is fighting on Showtime, so he's kind of bottom feeding right now off these but he's doing what he needs to do. Him and Virgil Ortiz are doing exactly what they need to do. Run PMC says Dulorme literally is an Uber driver now, so Boots can beat a cab driver. Just joking. Well, Chicano Prophet. Oh my God, he's tripping now. Philly must not be a boxing town. So there's hate. There's some hate. I don't know what Run PMC says. I like Boots and I want to see him get Thurman or someone next. If Thurman wants to fight more than once every 2 years, listen, I would love to see Thurman fight one of these young guys, whether it's Virgil Ortiz or even a Conor Benn, but he's someone that's only interested in that big bag, right, Drew?
He's a duck.
He's basically looking for the highest bag that he can get. I think he's a shadow of himself. And I think a lot of the welterweights are a shadow of themselves. And I really don't think, aside from Bud Crawford, and I think Errol Spence might be on his way out with that serious eye injury that he's recovering from, the surgeries from that. I think maybe Bud Crawford is probably the one that's going to hang around, likely to be a world champion. But I think that Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz stand a very good chance of upsetting somebody like Ugas. Okay, if they can find a path in the WBA. Now I know there's this guy named Stanionis that they want to give a shot to Ugas, and he's only got 13 professional fights. Meanwhile, Boots Ennis is on like his 28th consecutive win. He's 28-0, and he's not even being mentioned in this WBA tournament. They want to give a shot to Stanionis at PBC, who I think isn't deserving of it yet, right?
You know what's crazy? Boots is number 3 in the IBF. And who owns the IBF? Or Spence, right? So, he understands that's what he said. I'm number 3 in the IBF. I want Or Spence. I want Ugas. I want Crawford. I want Thurman. He knows who the hell I am. He just doesn't want to fight me.
Listen, there have been people. We got Run PMC in the chat saying Boots versus Danny in Philadelphia. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter bring this up. I don't know if they're friendly. They
won't do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Danny Garcia, but he won't fight Boots. He don't tell you the truth. Danny wants. That's why Danny's going to 154. He doesn't want. He knows he ain't gonna campaign as a champion at 147. And he thinks going up to 154 is gonna help. But hey, until we see him fight at 154, I'm not gonna say nothing about it. But You see, it hasn't really worked out all that well at 147 for Danny. He was a champion, but other than that, he did get the good fights, but he didn't really succeed out of them. So, like, I'll be honest with you, Keith Thurman, he's a duck. He's ducking, and we all know he's trying to make excuses up not to fight Boots Ennis. Like, Keith Thurman hasn't been one time since Keith Thurman actually first got into the game and he got noticed and everything. After that Luis Colasso fight, that's the last time people caught him one time. And who else? Who's that guy from PBC that they're bringing up? That guy from Detroit, I think it is. The one you just mentioned.
Stanionis?
Yeah, he hasn't fought. He come on.
He's not from Detroit though. I think he's a European Greek Olympic athlete or Olympian.
WBA, man, they're doing some real shit. They even making it even rarer now because they want to have tournaments. We're not gonna have interim belts. We're gonna have tournaments instead.
Listen, I want to give a shout out to the main event was Jamal James, who's supposed to be highly ranked at 147 pounds. Jamal James was alluding that Boots Ennis wasn't in his league. Jamal James came in with some serious ring rust and actually lost to the hard-hitting Butayev, who is trained by Joel Diaz, California's Joel Diaz. Butayev outworked him, and Boots Ennis said, hey, okay, this is typical in a co-main event, main event. If Butayev wants to get it, that would be a great match. Because up until Saturday, he wasn't on my radar as a welterweight Butayev. And here he is, taking out a top 10 ranked guy in Jamal James. And again, I really think Boots Ennis should have been at the top of that card. He does not get the respect he deserves, but he's open to fighting Butayev. And I hope to see him in some more competitive matchups. But again, the welterweight division, really, there's a lot of ducking going on at the welterweight division. And
well, you saw that altercation he had with Blair Cobbs, right?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I put this picture up prematurely, Drew, but I was just going to say this is why the fight on November 20th that I'm going to be at, which is Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter, is going to be so important because Sean Porter's been the guy who's been willing to fight everybody, right? And if we see this cross promotion between PBC fighters working with Top Rank, then, like you said, Boots Ennis isn't signed to Al Heyman. So he's with an independent promoter. Maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope that we'll get Boots Ennis versus someone like the champ, Terrence Crawford, right? Maybe there's some hope. And by the way, not to dismiss what you were saying, Blair Cobbs is somebody who I really enjoy because of his personality. He's a Philly fighter. He's very much into the kung fu, karate, and martial arts aspect. He's a likable guy, but his career's been kind of stagnant. He hasn't been fighting top opposition. He's with Golden Boy, and I really don't know if he's someone who deserves to be in the conversation with like Conor Benn, Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis. I don't know if he's like a fringe contender, but I'm surprised you're telling me that he was there looking for a fight with Boots Ennis.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I like Blair Cobbs, but I think he's too reckless at times. And I really think he gasses out too. Like I really think Boots would give him it because be honest, I think once Blair Cobbs walks into a nice counter shot, because Boots Ennis not only has power, not only has boxing ability, not only has hand speed, but he has ring IQ. And that's a recipe for a champion right there. That's a recipe right there for a pound great right there. It's just he hasn't been able to get fights to showcase it. Like he's getting these like Lipinets. He like Demores, but like now, because he's on Showtime and he's with an independent promoter, nobody wants to feed him, give him their top fighters to fight, because they're not only making money off the one fighter, not him. And that's why a lot of these guys try to get on Boots, say he's a hype job because he won't sign Al Heyman. And I don't think Boots wants to sign with Al Heyman. I think Boots, if he's going to sign with somebody big, it will probably be maybe the Zone, like a fight on the with Matt. But I don't think he'll fight. I think if anybody, I think Boots should, sign with Lou DiBella. And I think Lou DiBella can really do stuff with him because you don't really have to have the biggest promoter to be a big guy in the sport and everything. But I think if he signs with a guy like Lou DiBella, really think Lou can do a lot for his career. I think Lou can get him those big fights because how well respected Lou is in the game. Being around how he came up to become a promoter from an ex-HBO executive.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, if Boots, that's the only thing that's keeping Boots from getting a shot other than these guys making excuses not to fight him because, to tell you the truth, Boots is being ducked. And like people are saying that Haney's the most avoided boxer in the game. Boots might be the most avoided boxer in the welterweight division.
I don't buy that. That Haney is the most avoided fighter. Oh man, that one's laughable.
Yeah, what a freaking joke.
I want to move on from this, but Santiago Media makes a really good comment because in my mind, I know that an eventual showdown between Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis is going to be on the mind of even of most boxing fans, and might even start to scratch the surface of a casual boxing fan. And the fact that he says that's what Robert Garcia said today, he doesn't think Boots can keep up with the pace of Virgil for 12 rounds if they fight. So the fact that you're saying if they fight, and I know that Santiago Media is someone who spends a lot of time around the Robert Garcia camp. I read your articles, bro. Great job. It tells me that it is on the mind of Robert Garcia, a potential showdown. But Drew, do you want to see these guys fight for a non-title match, or do we want to let this one marinate like all these boxing matches that have marinated for years? Do we want to see them fight as non-champions, or do we want to see them fight when they both have a title?
I don't care what it is. I just want to see them fight. And Santino, if you're around Robert the next time, tell him don't make a statement unless he knows what the hell he's talking about, because Virgil Ortiz never been 12 rounds either. So what the hell is he talking about?
Oh, come on. Drew's favoring his Philly guy. Rum PMC says, make the fight now. I can't wait on anything more. You know what? There's something to it. Like, let these people fight now and let's get this cleared up. But there's one guy in that welterweight mix-up that I really want to see get in there with some Americans, because he thinks he's been taking out the soft touches of American welterweights, and that's Conor Benn from the UK. I want to see him because he thinks he's so high and mighty. He thinks his shit don't stink. I want to see him get in with somebody like Virgil Ortiz on the zone. That's something that Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya can put together. I would love to see that. And then we can find out for sure whether or not Conor Benn is a prospective future world champion or if he's the hype job.
You know that's not going to happen, because Golden Boy ain't getting re-signed by the Zone. There's already reports out that they're not renewing the Zone's contract, Golden Boy's contract on the Zone. So to give them an opportunity to have one of their fighters beat a matchroom fighter, that's not happening. Even though I think Conor Benn's one of the biggest hype jobs there is in boxing right now, because all this dude wants to do is fight retired fighters.
Oh, he's actually talking about fighting Gilroy just south of me in San Jose. He's talking about fighting Robert the Ghost Guerrero from Gilroy, who's approaching 40 years old. Like, bro, come on. Like, you bringing that name up, that's embarrassing. Seriously? Like,
oh, dude, this is when you're supposed to move up. You're like 19-0, and you haven't moved the hell up in competition yet. You got a big promoter and everything.
He does, and Eddie Hearn. Let's move on to the next subject, because I don't want to give any disrespect to Long Beach's Chon Zepeda, who was involved in my favorite fight of 2020, and that was the fight between Ivan Baranchyk and Chon Zepeda, where they exchanged a total of 8 knockdowns. In between that fight and the fight Saturday, Drew, he didn't look that good in his most recent fight. He didn't look that exciting at all. But this fight on Saturday, I don't know if you saw the press conference last week, but they literally came to blows at the press conferences, the two camps. And it ends up being that the New York State Athletic Commission suspended or fined or removed trainers and staff from Chon Zepeda's camp. So he had to go into the fight on his own. And the same penalties weren't applied to the local New York fighter in Vargas. That was a little bit to me of some hometown cooking. What do you think about that?
Well, it was justified that the one guy was removed because he literally kicked one of Vargas's guys. That was the reason why he was removed. So that was justified. Nobody really else from the Vargas camp even put their hands on the Zepeda guys. So I can understand why they weren't removed because, hey, they didn't put their hands on them. It was the Zepeda guy that that legally had contact with them. So I could understand that. But like, at it all, man, like it was a lot. It was heated. These two clearly didn't like each other. Vargas was talking a lot of trash.
A lot of shit talking.
A lot of shit and everything. And like, you saw what happened.
I did see. Let me show you everybody real quick because it was really an exciting hour in boxing Saturday night. I'm waiting for the Top Rank card fight, the main event, to go on Showtime. And within a span of like 5 minutes, both of the fights I was most interested ended in first round KOs. And there was a lot of shit talking for somebody that got sparked out like that so quickly, and the fight stopped so unanimously there. Chon Zepeda, in my mind, he's someone that has had a close decision win against, at the 140-pound division. We saw the big fight against Baranchek. But I think with Josh Taylor being a Top Rank, and I know Josh Taylor has this mandatory fight that he's going to be fighting in his home country, but really, he really should be ranked up there as a mandatory pretty damn soon. Like, he really deserves a title fight. I want to know what you think about that. I mean, you know we're not going to get Josh Taylor versus Rougarou, who I don't even know. I can't keep up with who he's being promoted by. That fight, like, everyone wants to see Rougarou fight someone like Josh Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry. Those two fought already, didn't they?
Think so.
Yeah. Okay. They did fight, but his conversation's always in the mix at 140. But we haven't had Chon Zepeda versus Josh Taylor. Unfortunately, Ramirez in May, it didn't pan out the way I was hoping when I went to that fight. Thank you. RunPMC says he's with Schaefer now. That's right. Schaefer, who used to be with Golden Boy, started his own new promotional company, and they signed Rougarou. Who knows how that's going to go, right? Who knows how that's going to go?
They also signed Progress, too.
That's who I'm talking about. Why am I calling him Rougarou? Progress. Regis Progress. What am I talking about? Rougarou. That's his Twitter handle, I think. I'm talking about Regis Progress. Thank you for the clarification.
Well, he was talked about being a potential replacement for Tank Davis. But, you know, Tank don't want to risk Tank against Regis Progress.
Listen, Haney claimed that he told Hearns that he was willing to fight him. That ain't go anywhere.
You know what?
No disrespect to Isaac Cruz, but Isaac Cruz, as a pay-per-view a fighter from Mexico, very few people know who he is. You know, the casual fans don't know who Isaac Cruz is.
That's who he's fighting now?
Looks like Isaac Pitbull Cruz is number one in the running. And again, not Regis, but Raleigh Romero had started to build a little bit of social media fame. I said on the roundtable, he literally talked himself into this fight. But a mild-mannered guy like Isaac Cruz, you're going to have a hard time selling this as a pay-per-view. You're really going to have a hard time selling this as a pay-per-view. It really shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight. You make a strong case that it shouldn't be a pay-per-view. The way things made TMT Promotions goes, when they've set their mind on it, it should be a pay-per-view fight.
And that's the biggest mistake. That's the biggest mistake what Showtime is known for doing. Putting fights on pay-per-view that have no business being pay-per-view fights. That Chris Arreola, Andy Ruiz fight has no business being a pay-per-view fight, and you put it on there anyway. And that did poor numbers. And now this fight, you say, oh, Tank's going to do at least 250,000 whoever he fights. No, he's not. Nobody knows who the hell Isaac Cruz is. And like seriously, if you're going to put him up again, here's the thing. I understand you guys want to do it in-house. You know, Floyd just broke it right there. He should have kept his mouth shut. But when Tank said, "Oh, ask Floyd," well, you know, we're gonna keep this in-house, man. You know, Tank's gonna be a big star. We're gonna keep it in-house. We have a lot of big fighters in PBC, you know, in the Mayweather camp and everything. And then they're gonna hype this guy up, you know. Well, you know, Pitbull is gonna be a dangerous fighter, real dangerous fighter, a lot of power and everything, a lot of power. And this guy don't have shit on him that he said already. Nobody gives a fuck about him because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So, you know, they're just gonna hype this dude up into the fight, and when Tank knocks him out in like maybe third or fourth round, if we're lucky, they're gonna say, "Well, you know, he's a warrior. I'm gonna give him some respect and everything. You know, it's a warrior and everything." But that's my good Floyd impersonation. But I don't give a flying fuck if anybody likes it or not. But at the end of the day, this dude should be a pay-per-view fight. It's time to let Tank go a little bit. It's time to cash out on Tank a little bit. You should have cashed out on Tank. You should have put him up against Regis. You should let him fight Regis Prograis. Even take the offer of Devin Haney, see if he's actually going to bite on it, because all Devin Haney speaks is bullshit.
Yeah, that would have been completely worthy. I think that's completely worthy of being a pay-per-view special. You know,
and that all his daddy speaks too is bullshit.
So what do you think it is? Like out here, I've got at the top of our title here, we're actually supposed to be talking about Jose Chon Zepeda, who I think had a sensational performance on Saturday night, but somehow we've gone back to Gervonta Davis talk. You think Floyd Mayweather is protecting him far too much because of a lack of confidence?
Floyd protecting himself at the end of the day, because that's how Floyd fought. That's how Floyd did for himself, because he knew at the end of it, he didn't want to fight no guy in his prime, no young guy at his age, because he knew if this young guy had pop to him and that can box a little bit, he was in a hell of a lot of trouble. That's why he ran most of the freaking time at the end of his career. Ever since he stopped becoming Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather has done nothing but have made it boxing a marathon fight.
All right, we got a question from the chat. Run PMC says, Zepeda versus Tank, who wins at 140 pounds? I'll tell you right now that Zepeda is I don't even want to speak so badly about Mario Barrios, but Mario Barrios lacks power. And that's something that Chon Zepeda has clearly demonstrated he does have. He does have knockout power. He can put you on the floor. He is dangerous. And he's got a high IQ, and he happens to be a southpaw. So I like that fight. That's a great fight. But I can't see Top Rank working Floyd. Man, there's so many good fights. Like, that's a quality fight at 140 pounds. I really, 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 really like that fight. So Tailmeter says, I take it Drew's not on the Bill Haney and Devin train. I don't know if I am either, man, to be honest.
Fuck him.
He's so vocal. He's so open about it. But here we are, man. It's Canelo Fight Week. It is Canelo Alvarez Fight Week. And this is, by Saturday night, we're going to have a unified 168-pound champ. This year we got a unified, undisputed. Let me correct myself. Undisputed and unified ain't the same thing. We're talking undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. You're already grabbing your forehead.
I have a feeling you might have just jinxed it already, because that could be a draw. And I want to say fucking jinx.
A draw? What is Drew?
Because every time somebody says we're gonna have an undisputed, it turns out to be a fuckery draw and everything. And I'm like, yo, guys, we could have it. Let's like this. We could have an undisputed super middleweight champion.
You know, I love this one. I love Twitter, because people come up with some fantastic, funny memes. This one, Canelo versus Plant. Get the gringo on Showtime pay-per-view. The odds are against him. So is everyone else. Man, as far as the sports books in Las Vegas, it is not looking good for Canelo versus Plant. So I thought, Drew, we would do our famous. We've been right about a lot of major fights as of late. You've been more so than I have this calendar year. Some Showtime. Was that the Showdown music? I wanted. Canelo Alvarez for the.
Jesus Christ, Dave, what the fuck was that?
I was going through my music, man. I'm going through my beats. Listen, we're going to have an undisputed champion at super middleweight. All right? He's cracking up.
All right, I'm gonna be serious.
Yeah, be serious. All right, let's put our serious hats on now. I'll give you the floor first.
I don't got a hat. Fuck it. Huh. It's about the fight, right? Undisputed fight? Okay, good.
Canelo versus Plant this Saturday night. Pay-per-view. I forgot I gotta pay for this. I gotta pay for this.
You know what, man? You gotta. Don't bet on who wins this fight. Just bet on the round it ends in. If you're going to make money, bet on the rounds it ends in, because this is likely ending in a knockout. Even though I'm rooting for Caleb Plant because I love his life story and everything.
Yeah, he's likable.
Because, hey, I got to root for the Gringo because I actually used to have a nickname called El Gringo and everything. Like when I used to work my old job, I used to have the name tag. It said El Gringo on it. But you know, I really think the best way for you to bet on this fight is to bet the round the knockout happens in. And I really believe that Canelo Alvarez is going to knock Caleb Plant out inside 8 rounds, unfortunately. Like I said yesterday on Raw Boxing, shout out to Raw Boxing, I actually was the guest talking with Raw about the fight and everything. I said there's only 2 things that would keep Caleb Plant in this fight that would give him a great opportunity to win this fight. One, he has to have his moves, his combinations planned out. And planned out means if I go this way and try to nail my right hook, and Canelo does this, what would I do next? This is what I'm going to do next. He has to have those moves planned out and know what Canelo's going to do. And the second thing, I said it before, Caleb Plant reminds me a little bit of Bernard Hopkins and Andre Ward.
Mm-hmm. Who he spent a lot of time with in this camp with Andre Ward.
Because he's a volume fighter and everything. He behind strategy and everything, defensive skills and everything. And I really think he has to do what Bernard and Andre Ward were always good at doing. Making the fighter look bad does not matter. His high points and everything to make that fighter fight his fight, to be somewhat of a bully and be dirty. Make it a dirty fight. That's the 2 things that's going to keep Plant in this fight that can help him potentially pull the upset. But do I think it's going to happen? No.
There you have it. And you know what? I think G Funky said that you were one of the biggest Canelo haters. I don't know if he said that exactly, but we talked about this on the roundtable over the bet that we made earlier in the year. And he ain't no hater. He's calling it how it is. Plant's getting knocked out. I mean, specifically, do you think a round? Did I miss that? What round do you think is getting knocked out?
I said inside 8. It's gonna end inside 8. I don't really. Here's the thing. I think Billy Joe Sanders is a better boxer than Caleb Plant.
I agree.
I really think Caleb Smith will probably, if it was the right circumstance, stop Caleb Plant. Unless he falls into a boxing chain with Plant, and I think Caleb Plant can get a decision. Like, I really think that if you look at it, I'll say you guys compare the last 5 opponents of Canelo and see him play. I had him beaten 3 of them. I think he beats Danny Jacobs because I don't think Danny Jacobs is the same fighter that he was before he got knocked out by Dimitri Pirog.
Dimitri Pirog, yeah.
Pirog and everything. And I really think that he would like everybody beats Dulorme because Dulorme is a undefinedly a journeyman now. Surprised he has 22 wins and 3 losses on his record. And number 3, Kovalev, I think he beats the Kovalev now. You don't beat the Kovalev in his prime, the prime crusher and everything. But like at the end of the day, it's really PBC hasn't really give Caleb play like gave him the old Subway guy Mike Lee, Caleb Truex.
They haven't given him the cream of the crop at 168 pounds. And I just want to remind people, Caleb Plant wouldn't have this title if it wasn't for David Benavidez losing the title not once, but twice to his own volition. He lost the title once for illegal substances. Then he lost the title a second time on the scale. I mean, David Benavidez, who I would love to see, and Canelo's open to, I think this week he mentioned he's open to it. He's like, yeah, I'm not afraid of that, dude. That might be happening. But he really wouldn't be the world champ right now over at PBC. He wouldn't be the missing link to the collection of trophy belts that Canelo wants if David Benavidez hadn't been so undisciplined early on in his career. He is a young fighter. Right?
Yeah, but I look at it like this. Caleb Plant has a 4-inch reach advantage and a 3.5-inch height advantage on Canelo Alvarez. Caleb Plant has to keep Canelo on the outside.
It's not going to happen.
12 rounds, and it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Because Canelo's going to get inside. And but I tell you this right now, that's why Caleb Plant's strategy has to be, if he has a chance, I have to have my moves planned out. My first strategy, I have to keep him outside. I have to keep him at bay with my jab and be able to nail the hooks and everything outside. He goes inside, I got to get that uppercut ready. When he tries to go inside, I can't back away all the time because he expects me to back away. I gotta be willing to go inside, to go in there and counter him when he tries to go inside real quick and say you're not getting inside that easy, and he has to regroup Canelo. He has to keep Canelo trying to regroup.
I don't give him that advantage as far as speed, and he doesn't have the power to keep Canelo honest and worried about what's coming back at Canelo. He doesn't have the power advantage. He doesn't have the speed advantage. And really what is going to happen when Canelo starts to do his signature body attacks, that's going to start to break down Caleb. I'm going to go ahead and give you how this fight's going to play out in my head. The first 2 to 3 rounds, Canelo's going to give him those rounds just to give him false hope and see what Plant has to offer. And from round 3 on to 3 to 6, we're going to see the steady barrage of punishment in a sustained body attack, crushing body attack that Plant has never felt before. Not from his list of most recent 5 opponents. He hasn't been attacked to the body that way. And really, this fight is a no-brainer. I can't believe I see people on social media saying Plant is going to surprise us all. From round 7, 8, and 9, it's basically going to be up to Canelo when he wants to put him away. And that's when we're going to find out. But Drew, that's when we're going to find out what Caleb Plant is really made of. Because Caleb Plant might surprise not only me, but a lot of people and put on a sustained effort that says he's a champion, that he has the heart of a champion. Because even if he loses this fight, what he does in the late rounds, and if he can get to the championship rounds 10, 11, 12, that's going to say a lot about Caleb Plant going forward in the rest of his career as someone who gave Canelo Alvarez everything he had. I can't say that about Billy Joe Saunders, who had his orbital bone shattered. There's a lot of guys I can't say that about who have been recent opponents to Canelo. So will Caleb Plant get a moral victory, a victory in the eyes, in the hearts of fans of boxing, and say, damn, Caleb Plant showed something that makes me a fan of him now. Going forward, I don't care that Canelo beat him. Man, he really put his heart out in that fight, and I favor him to beat all the other guys at 168. I favor him to beat David Benavidez. That's going to be a moral victory for Caleb Plant.
I'll be honest with you, right now, I don't like the term false hope. I think that that's overrated, the term false hope, or giving a guy false hope and anything. Like I like to give it. I like to say maybe to see filling out rounds to see what these guys are going to bring to the table and everything. But I don't see. I'm sorry, but I would really think that as of right, we're gonna probably see Caleb Plant surprise people a little bit.
I hope
and
so.
I don't
Remember,
care.
it is a pay-per-view.
Because I really think Caleb Plant has a style that could give Canelo's fits. He does have a style that could give Canelo fits. But it's his choice. It's him that has to execute that style.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight the perfect fight, and not just for 7, 8, 9 rounds. It's going to have to be the entire fight.
But I'm also going to say that David Benavidez is a very easy fight for Canelo Alvarez. I said it last night. He's a very easy fight for Canelo Alvarez because David Benavidez does not have an inside game. David Benavidez would be exposed by Canelo, and he will stop David Benavidez late. So, if Caleb Plant can someone execute that game plan, that style that can give Canelo fits and make this fight interesting, since this fight is promoted by PBC and Heyman fighters are beloved in Las Vegas, anything can happen if he puts that style to use. If he can keep Canelo at bay for a while.
Listen,
and I really think that people really think Canelo's this indestructible boxer and everything. And this is not hate. It's just you guys want to call it hate and everything. When you can waste your fucking lives typing, "Oh, Drew's a fucking hater on Canelo," and then if you waste the 5 minutes of your fucking lives typing that shit, some of you type the shit. And I know because they probably don't want to expose that they can't fucking spell for shit. But
oh god,
at the end of the day, anybody could be beaten.
Well, that's the way it goes in the sport of boxing, Drew. There's no.
He only was beaten, but he can lose again.
You're right. If you hang around in the sport too long, anything can happen. And there's always a level of unpredictability, but we go with the most likely outcome. And I think we're both in agreement this week that Canelo Alvarez will be the undisputed super middleweight champ Saturday night. It's just a question of what round, if you're going to wager on it. I think the consensus is somewhere from round 7 to round 9. From all the podcast friends that we're associated with, that's the likely consensus. By the way, Drew, today's November 1st. Aside from it being Dia de Los Muertos, the United States has opened up international travel if you can provide proof that you've been vaccinated for COVID now. So there is a last-minute rush of very wealthy Mexicans on their way to Las Vegas. Something that Las Vegas has not seen recently is open weigh-ins, open to the crowd. There wasn't anything like that for Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. This Friday, if you happen to live in Las Vegas, make your way out at 1 o'clock and you'll get to see Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant. And I expect a big crowd as those have always filled out as events to be seen and be seen at, even the weigh-in. Even though I see Drew reading the chat.
I wanted to ask him how long did it take him to type that shit?
Oh man! Shout out to El Chido Boxing tomorrow on El Chile, I believe on YouTube at 11 a.m. Shout out to you, homie. So that's it, Drew. I want to get into our final thoughts. Listen, November. And today's November the 1st is Dia de Los Muertos. I wanted to do this very quickly But I wanted to pay homage. Like I said, it happens to be Dia de Los Muertos. And I wanted to pay homage to both my wife and I lost our grandmothers last November. And both of them were beautiful women that we loved very dear. So hello to them. And a shout out to everyone who's lost a loved one in recent times. It's Dia de los Muertos. All right, Drew. It's November. And this is probably, in my opinion, the most exciting month of boxing all year so far. November 6th, we're going to have Undisputed. November the 13th, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Here we go one more time. We just had Chon Zepeda and Jose Vargas, but we are going to have Munguia versus your boy Gabe Rosado from Philadelphia. That's the week after, man. That's a fight that could be a real fan favorite fight.
Let's go, Rosado.
Whatever the outcome is, I'm going to be a big fan of Munguia. I've been vocal about it. November 13th, we're talking about David Benavidez. He's got a last-minute replacement because his opponent from Venezuela, the former champion Uzcategui, once a champion at 168, got popped for anabolic PEDs. So he'll be taking on a last-minute replacement. That, Drew, is one of the problems with PBC. These guys at 168 over there at PBC have been given... They're being given soft opposition, man.
These guys are getting mismanaged, man. Like David Benavidez is getting mismanaged like crazy.
It would have been in the best interest of Al Heyman to have signed Canelo Alvarez to make him agree to a 3-fight deal where he could have, hey, if you get past Plant, then you got to get past Charlo, making a move up to 168. And last but not least, I'll give you David Benavidez. Let's make it worthwhile. Let's make 3 huge pay-per-views. Again, I'm scratching my head that I have to pay to see Canelo Alvarez fight Plant this weekend. November 20th, I'll be in Las Vegas, and I hope to be back in time Monday night to give everyone a show about my experience at the fight. Of course, Terrence Crawford is fighting his biggest test. I said this on the round table. Absolutely, without a doubt. Sean Porter is the biggest test he's had up until his professional career. I expect that to be a fantastic fight. Drew, the fight you've been waiting for all year. I know you've been waiting for this one. Teofimo Lopez versus Cambosos. It's finally been made.
Another fucking raced.
On DAZN. That's right, on DAZN. And we end the month with another Philadelphia fighter. Man, this has been a good back-to-back stretch for Philadelphia. Stephen Fulton versus Figueroa. That's going to be a banger.
Fulton's going to easily beat Figueroa.
Again, a lot of people think that fight's going to be interesting. I favor Fulton. I see Fulton as a small version of the other Philadelphia fighter, Jerome Ennis, that I just see him as a spectacularly gifted. They bring totally different styles, and it should be fan favorite. This makes a perfect end to the month of November. All right, in December, I really can't tell you what's popping off in December other than that I heard Xander Zayas will be fighting at Madison Square Gardens, where they originally wanted to have Berlanga with him making their debut together. But, Berlanga tore his bicep and he got exposed a few weeks back. And Xander Zayas looks like he nailed Prospect of the Year from the Boxing Writers Association. So one last thing, Drew. Michaela Mayer. A lot of people like her. She'll be fighting in Las Vegas on Friday night. Don't miss that on ESPN+. You know that Michaela Mayer, she's got a Philadelphia trainer, man. She's always posting a lot of nice things about her Philadelphia trainer. So, don't miss that. Drew, parting words?
Yeah, actually, I do have parting words. I want to predict Tank's opponent, replacement. And guys, if I get it right, I think you should give me something for it. For saying, Drew, you're right. You are absolutely right about this. I think they're going to get Tank to fight Gary Russell Jr.
It was talked about this week, man. It was talked about this week. And I said, come on now. Gary Russell, if he fights and he only fights once a year or once every 18 months, which is such a waste of his talent, man. He's a blown-up featherweight. Come on now. Come on. He didn't beat Lomachenko. He's won career losses against Lomachenko.
Lomachenko easily beat that dude. And I tell you the truth now, Gary Russell arguably has the fastest hands in boxing, still in my opinion. But I tell you, if Tank struggles against this dude, that's what I would think he would fight Gary Russell Jr. just to say, hey, if Loma can easily beat him, I can knock him out. But if he struggles against Gary Russell Jr., that just shows a lot about Tank, and that's one thing they might not want to do.
I agree with you that Gary Russell has the name recognition, and if you're gonna sell a pay-per-view, you're gonna get a lot more interested people by picking someone like Gary Russell. But the boxing purists, we're gonna know that it's a mismatch in size, and it heavily favors Gervonta Tank Davis, which is why I don't want to see it as much as I don't even want to see Isaac Cruz. I mean, I want to see Gervonta Davis fight somebody who's actually a contender or a champion at 135 pounds, whether it's Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko. Come on, the list goes on. Devin Haney. Give me a Ryan Garcia, for crying out loud. We didn't even touch the fact that Canelo Alvarez came out with some very choice words against Ryan Garcia's stablemate.
Dave, you wonder why we didn't even mention him? Because we don't give a fuck about Ryan Garcia. I personally don't give a fuck about Ryan Garcia, so fuck him too.
Oh man, Canelo! I had made a segment about that.
Tonight.
Canelo Alvarez hating on Ryan Garcia or just Drew Evo?
But no, here's the thing about this, man. I think until these guys actually fight a meaningful fight, they should just shut the fuck up. As so as everything, they should just shut the fuck up and just have a good fucking day until they're gonna fucking just stop talking and just make a fucking big fight happen. Have some fucking balls and fight somebody instead of rubbing around, typing a treat. I'll fight you, Tank. Oh, I'll fight you, Loma, and don't expect him to reply back to you saying, hey, we can make that happen now. Because after that, Devin Haney didn't say shit afterwards. So Devin Haney, you and fucking Bill and your daddy need to shut the fuck up.
Damn.
Ryan Garcia, you need to shut the fuck up too.
Well, Drew, 2021 is on the verge of ending. This has been our debut year on YouTube. We started off on a little known app, Periscope, which is an offshoot of Twitter. And I want to thank everybody because we've now been on YouTube for 11 months and we're just shy. Just need a few more subscribers to actually name this channel. So guys, I want to remind everyone, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell for the active notification so you know we're live on Monday night. Also, if you know someone who likes the sport of boxing, let them know. Share the link so maybe I might just get that extra sub so I can finally get some business cards made. So when I go out and talk to people, I don't have to be embarrassed about my subscriber count and I can get those hard-earned interviews with actual people in the business.
Is my face going to be on that business card?
And thank you. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. And shout out to everybody at all the other shows who continue to come in the room here and support us. Drew and I are very appreciative. And with that being said, man, it is Fight Week, Canelo Fight Week. I hope everybody enjoys. Don't forget to watch Michaela Mayer on the Top Rank card, also live from Las Vegas on Friday. And we'll see you guys next Monday on The Shoe Shine. I'm Dave from the 408. Drew, we out. Peace.